Hello and welcome to this month's edition of the SHELFie Box. So this one's really fun. We've got an ice cream theme going on, ice cream in summer. So I'm going to start by just taking out the big piece. So if you notice, there's two little holes at the very top. This is like a door hanger or a wall hanger, wherever you want to hang it up. I actually have mine currently sitting on the shelf because I didn't get to putting string on it yet. And it looks really great there as well. But I started with the Sweet Summertime sign and I used a black paint. So we do have the recipe card for using deco art. I am currently using like apple barrel and folk art because that's just what I have to use up at the moment. So obviously some things skipped ahead here, which is fine. Don't worry about it, don't freak out. I just painted the bases black of the pieces I wanted to paint black, and then I started using the colors for the ice creams. I did take a slightly darker color or shade of the main ice cream colors, and I just sponged them around the side. So if you're an old scrapbooker, this is very similar to taking like an ink pad and doing the sides of the ink pad, or like using the sides of the ink pad to stamp scrapbook paper. It just adds more dimension, and I really liked how it turned out in the very end. It looks great. So if you have the desire to do that, I highly recommend it. Here I am just gluing down the ice cream bases. So the reason I skipped ahead here is because you don't need to just watch me paint everything. I can give you tips and tricks as we go. Your biggest concern and question is always how to piece things together. So here I put the purple on first, and then I put the inserts in. I put the layers of that kind of rainbow pop on, and then the small little rectangles are the sticks, so I glued those on as well. I really liked the black backgrounds. It gave a lot of dimension and just pop. It really makes those summer colors just all the brighter and more vivid. I glued down the bases. I'm trying to figure out camera positioning here, so I'm sorry for some things that happen off camera. But each of the stands have two layers. So you can see here, I painted just the top and then I glued the two together and made sure the slits lined up. So these are two layered so that it can hold everything up without falling over. It just gives it more stability. So I kind of set that piece aside while I worked on additional small pieces here. So I used some painter's tape to hold all of the letters, not the words, but the individual letters of the words, so that they were just easier to paint. And then I used a sponge to sponge that on as well. The sponges I use are just makeup application sponges. You can get a really large pack of them off Amazon for fairly inexpensive, and the link to that is in our Facebook group. I did put a couple layers of paint on just to make it really pop, just really solid and vivid colors here. I use Barely Art glue. So this is in a big tube and it has a bear on it. Again, we have this linked in our Facebook group. I am using smaller bottles. I got these little like medicinal bottles off Amazon for a paint party, and I filled these in with glue so that everyone could have some. And so I'm actually just using these up right now, or using up what was in there. And I have needle application things on top. Oh my goodness, the way to describe it, I'm not sure. But it does allow for that finer like writing with glue, as you can see here. And the Barely Art comes with those as well. So if you get the Barely Art, I love Barely Art glue for so many reasons. The glue itself is great. It's a really strong glue, so it actually, to me, is very similar to super glue in the sense of once it's stuck, it's stuck. But you have the benefit of it acting like Elmer's glue in the sense of you have time to move things around. So although I already glued these letters down, I could still move them around a bit because it doesn't dry as quick as super glue. Super glue is pretty instant. Barely Art glue has more time to work. It's fully set in 20 minutes. However, it's really pretty much stuck on there after just a minute or two. but once it's on there for good, and things don't tend to break off at all. It can hold its weight. I just really recommend it, and it has those needle points as well. So here I use a sponge to glue on to paint on a light blue on a few different pieces. I did this on the ice cream cone, that little license plate, and then the truck as well. So the truck is a light blue, and then I took a slightly darker teal around the edges to give it that shading and whatnot. So here you can see just where I'm fixing up that, where I missed the rim before. Re-glued that on and then glued on all the letters. And then here as well, I glued on all the Sweet Summertime letters. Now I did make the mistake of not adding that kind of sponge look around this piece. I do add it later after it's already glued down, so it actually made things very hard. But if you want to do that, do it now or before even gluing down the Sweet Summertime letters. I do recommend it because it does add a really nice detail, and you'll see that later on when I do add it. All right, for the truck, you will glue the bumper, the lights, and then that top rim and the mirrors there. Just like this. All right, you'll also glue down that wooden fence looking piece. So right here, I'm going to slow it down in a little bit, but you'll glue on this part so that the slot in the middle will be lined up with the top part of the bumper truck here. And it's hard for me to describe it, but this is what I show you. See that slit there in the middle? I want it just touching that top rim. This way it's lifted up so that our ice cream can sit in there and it stays in there. So I slide the ice cream in while the glue's still wet just to make sure my positioning's correct. And this is what I mean by making sure there's enough lip so the ice cream sits in there. Now you're not gluing anything else down, okay? You don't glue down the Stay Cool license plate, and you do not glue down anything in the middle where there's no paint. Do not glue it down. All right, so that Stay Cool's there, the Sweet Summertime's here. I am adding some Velcro dots. All right, because again, this is an interchangeable piece. So I put the Velcro dots onto the Sweet Summertime. I put both sides on there, so I put the soft and the scratchy part. And it doesn't matter which way you do it. You can choose whichever, if you want the soft or the scratchy on the base or on the signs. It's up to you. But I do put both pieces on the interchangeables so that then if you push it down, you can see where that should go. Now, one of my dots was not very sticky, so I did add glue. I saw where the glue went and then took off the base and put it on there. Hope that all makes sense. But that is your interchangeable. You can see, again, the ice creams just slide in there, and then the other two signs pop on and off. This is where the Sweet Summertime goes on the ice cream base. There is a flat part on the yellow drips, so the sign will sit right up there. And then you just kind of center it as you'd like. And I forget what I was doing here. Oh, I went in and added my details. So I added some white highlights just to add more character to the ice creams. I just added them on the curves. I make them match up per piece. I decided to add some to the Hello Summer summer sign as well, just on the letters. And you can follow the curves with this. You can really just do what you like. And if you don't like it after you do it, you can always paint back over it and adjust. Now that's easier to do maybe before it's glued on, but it's possible still to paint over things or to adjust as needed. Also, while the paint's still wet, if you take a baby wipe, you can often get a lot of stuff off, such as the white highlights and whatnot. I added them to the ice cream here as well. And then coming up, you'll see how I sponged on. So again, it's already glued on. It's not coming off. So I carefully went in. And this is an example of how I took a baby wipe to wipe off a mistake. It was just too bright. So I carefully went in and used the sponge, and then I wiped off the paint that got onto the yellow ice cream. I added some of those lines and dots on this as well, and it really does make it just pop. I don't know, it's a fun piece. Have fun with it. It's colorful. Enjoy.